Nice. Thank you very much. So let's begin. Today, we will be talking about visitor visas to Australia, how not to make mistakes, and what to look at. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Yulia Moiseeva. I'm a registered migration agent. I also registered as a lawyer in Queensland, and I'm running my office from Gold Coast, Queensland, Australia. We're dealing with variety of Australian visas, all of them except protection and refugee. So we are working with variety of clients from all over the world and from Australia to achieve fair migration. So we usually start with planning the case to understand what sort of visas are applicable for the clients, and then we either execute the visas or we can provide online resources for clients to execute the visas themselves. So one of our product is online visitor visa info pack and course, which allows our clients to proceed with visitors visa fastest possible way and avoid all the mistakes and make the application as clean and correct as possible. So for today, we're going to be discussing the visitor visas. What are the options? What are points to watch out, especially in the application, and how the simple visitor visa can affect your future migration. So a little bit of ground rules. First of all, I will be discussing what are the options for visitor visas, and I would appreciate good behavior in the chat, if anything. After my discussion, it will be the option to have question and answer session at the end. And then I will be giving away one of my products. It's Visitor Visa online course, how to make it yourself. So for those of you who would like to participate in the giveaway, you will have to make any comment in the chat. And then at the end of our session, we will be randomly picking up our winner. So let's start with simple information about visitor visas in general. So what sort of visas are available? First of all, we have two very simple visitor visas, but it depends on country of passport. So we have 651 e-visitor, which covers 36 countries, and we have 601 electronic travel authority, as known as ETA, also covering 34 countries. So first of all, you need to start by checking whether your passport belongs to either of these options, because those visas are electronically lodged and pretty much considered either on the spot, or it can be considered within a few hours or days. So it's very simplified process because those visas are for low risk countries. If your passport is not covered by one of those visas, so you will be able to consider visitor visa 600, which may contain three different streams. So first and very common stream for those who would like to visit Australia, visit relatives, friends, partner, maybe come to Australia to check further study options for kids or for yourselves, or maybe come to Australia to just check the locations of potential future migration, or maybe come to Australia to have a look at job market and apply for the jobs for the purpose of solely considering the interview. So no work is permitted. However, you can come and visit potential employer office, have an interview, etc. So this is visitor visa subclass 600 tourist stream. So all of these activities can be covered within tourist stream. The tourist stream visa is usually granted for up to 12 months validity and up to 3 months stay, multi-entry. So that's a very standard scenario. We may have so-called no further stay condition, 8503, which is discretionary on this visa. So what we see is either the visas are granted or visas are refused rather than this condition is imposed. So second type of visitor visa subclass 600 is family sponsored stream. A lot of people mix up the tourist stream and family sponsored and choose family sponsored stream to invite family members, as an example, partner or parents. It's still permitted to use either tourist or family sponsored stream, but our recommendation is to consider tourist stream as the mainstream, because family sponsored stream will attract compulsory no further stay condition, which will prevent the visa holder from application for any other visas while in Australia. So basically, you're blocking yourself any other pathways if you're selecting family sponsored stream. Family sponsored stream is usually selected by people who got tourist visa stream refused in the past, because family sponsored stream is usually serves as additional security for the Department of Home Affairs, as sponsor will have compulsory obligations, and monetary bond up to 15,000 can be requested per applicant to allow this security to be lodged. And if applicant will leave Australia on time, then this bond will be refunded. However, the statistics shows that a lot of people use family sponsored stream just to bring the family member to Australia, and then nobody is leaving. People are applying for protection visas. So a lot of things happening, and hence department even can't trust applicants on family sponsored stream. So if any of the family members have ever have a refusal of tourist stream visa, then it may be a wise point to consider family sponsored stream, but it's still not going to be guaranteed. And the third stream of visitor visa 600 is business stream. So for the business stream, it's usually for people who already get connected with, say, potential employer sponsored, and they just would like to come to Australia to discuss any employment opportunity, sit down and have a look at the facilities or undergo technical interviews. So this is specific stream for that purposes. Again, no work permitted whatsoever. However, these business visas are streamlined for quicker processing, just to allow businesses to connect with potential employees and allow them to come to Australia. So a little bit of statistics. For tourist stream visas, for 2024-2025, over 1.8 million visas was lodged and 1.4 million was granted. So nearly 78% success rate, which is fairly good. Family sponsored, though, 80,000 was lodged for the same 2024-2025, and only 40,000 was granted. So as you can see, it's around 50%. So again, it's still visa for consideration, and department is very cautious of issuing those visas. So last substream is a business stream. So 320,000 visas was lodged and 280,000 granted. So as I said, business visitor visa is basically allows the department to have a security that you are connected with appropriate business and you have a business relationship. So don't forget that just simple letter from any Australian business without any explanation will not serve the good purpose to support visitor visa business stream. So it needs to be all explained and it needs to be all logical. So we will have also different streams. So today is a stream dedicated to visitor visa only. However, I will be running other streams dedicated to work and holiday visa programs, which you can register. Also, is going to be other streams dedicated to skilled, employer-sponsored, partners, parents visas. So you can jump on the link, choose the stream you would like to participate, register, and you will have a reminder when the stream will be available. So About consideration time. As I said at the beginning, so simplified 659 or 601 visas are very quick in processing. So usually it's around 1 day turnaround or auto grant. If we talk about visitor visas, normal tourist stream, it's between 2 to 4 weeks, can be longer. And during the Christmas high season, the consideration may be up to 3 months. So if there is anyone who is considering visitor visa for Christmas, I would strongly recommend to lodge the applications around September. Department will be closing the consideration, and they are asking for applicants to lodge the last application before 15th of November to be able to process it possibly in time. So for visitor visa sponsored family, the consideration time is a bit longer, 42 to 86 days, simply because the department will be double checking who is a sponsor, what's the financial position, and if the bond will be requested. So it all makes the processing slightly longer. Visitor visa in the business stream, 7 to 26 days. So it's the quickest possible visa you can get for Australia. Again, my recommendation, if you would like to apply closer to season, apply way in advance to make sure that you're going to get your response, and obviously you're going to make it all in time. So a little bit of overview when you're going to be lodging the visa application by yourself. So those visas are electronic. So the lodgement is happening from IMMI account, from online facility provided by Department of Home Affairs. So all the documents must be colored copies of originals, and translation where needed into English. So there is no need to have apostilles or notarized copies. Department will be trusting whatever you're providing as part of your application by default. So make sure you're not providing any false and bogus documents, because all the information, documents, and declarations you're making on the visa applications all form part of the evidence base you provided to department, and all the documents, all the information will stay in the department system pretty much forever. So you need to make sure that you prepare your truthful application, because again, if you are deliberately not disclosing information such as another visa rejections, cancellations, anything of this sort, department may suspect bogus and false information that may lead to not only a refusal but also a 3-year ban. So you need to be really careful how you prepare your application. That's why we packed all this knowledge how to prepare the application into our ImmiSchool online course, to allow people to have all this knowledge pretty much available within one click. So you don't have to go and search for forums, what's happening now in that space. And we pack not only the explanation, but also templates and step-by-step guide how to deal with online visa application. So just a reminder, at the end of this live session, we will be giving away one access to this course. So stay with me. Let's talk about common mistakes in the application, because a lot of people think that visitor visas are simple, and I would agree with that. However, you need to understand the logic behind the application. So first of all, the aim of the department is to assess these visas and make a decision as quickly as possible. So it's on the applicant to provide all the information consistently, logically, and allow the department to process as quickly as possible. So pretty much, if you're providing information in the visa application, or there is some documents missing, or there is information that does not align with each other, so simple for the department, it's going to be easier to get your refusal rather than to request documents. So visitor visa must be prepared as decision ready, everything must be explained, and everything must be logic. So if we're talking about rejection rate, statistically, it's around 22%. So mainly 1/5 application can be rejected. So in terms of what can cause this rejection, it may be wrong purpose for your trip or no purpose. So some people are just giving no information or very limited information to the department without any breakdown of what's the trip about, why you need to come to Australia, why now, with who you're gonna meet if you have any friends or relatives. So this all needs to be explained. Otherwise, it's not clear for department what's going to be your motives to come to Australia. Then, if, for example, the applicant is sitting in a third country, not in the country of passport, and his or her visa is expiring very quickly, and then you pretty much quickly lodging visa to Australia saying, oh, I would like to come to Australia, where you have no links to current country where you're staying, your visa is expiring, you have no employment, so it's all going to be detrimental for your case. So in the best case scenario, you need to prepare your application from country of your passport, because you will have more links to your home country in terms of relatives, employment, maybe studying, business, etc. Then you really need to watch out who is your inviter. If you're going to select any person who is going to invite you, be careful what was their status. If they, for example, came to Australia on a protection visa, it's dangerous to use them as an inviter, because the department may think that you will repeat their steps and pretty much the application will be refused. If you're going to choose any random person you don't know, in the vision that if you get invitation that it's going to increase your chances to get the visa, this is false statement. The reason for that is department again would like to know, if somebody is inviting you, what's the connection between you? Are you friends? Are you relatives? So you need to explain it into your detailed explanation letter, support letter that you're preparing with your visa application. And at the same time, your inviter will have to make the invitation and again explain what are the motives for you to come and visit them. Then another mistake is where you hiding, you're not disclosing something in the vision that department will not find out. First of all, do not forget to disclose any prior refusal. So if you had a refusal for Australian visa in the past, you have to disclose it. If you had other visas a refusal, for example, in US, Canada, UK in the past, this is all Commonwealth system. So you have to disclose it. If you're not going to disclose, then the department will find out. Again, it's going to be suspicious that it's bogus information, false information. So you have to disclose that you got a refusal, and then you can explain the reasons of your refusal in your support letter. Then the most important thing is, again, what are you saying in your visa application? I had a case where I've seen people disclosing and stating one occupation in the visa application. Then they were coming to Australia, finding the employer, and pretty much changing the whole story and declaring totally different work experience on the next visa application without thinking what was said on the visitor visa. So in this case, it will create request for explanation in the sense of natural justice if the department again will suspect that it's all bogus information and documents. Be careful on that. Also, when you get visitor visa, either 600 or 651 or 601. So normally those visas are granted for a duration of 12 months, but you will be able to get to Australia and stay up to 3 months, multi-stay, multi-entry. So normally Department expect the visa holders to use this visa for temporary short stay, not to maintain ongoing residency. What does that mean? For example, if you have this visa and you come into Australia to stay for 2.5 months, closer to 3 months window, then you quickly coming out of the country to visit Bali, Indonesia, Thailand, any adjacent countries for 2 days, and then quickly coming back for another long period of stay. Department will not be happy, and border control may stop you at the borders and start questioning what is your reasons to come and go in Australia, how you sustain yourself, so your phone and bank statement and emails can be checked. And if there will be any unsatisfactory information, border control can potentially cancel the visa on the spot. So you need to be really careful with using your visitor visa, even if it's granted. Don't forget, please, that none of these visas have any permission to work. So if the visa holder decides to work illegally, it's against the law, and his visa can be refused or cancelled. So if you're going to be looking at any other visas and using visitor visa as a strategy, so please feel free to register for our next live sessions dedicated to specific visas like partner visa, parents visa, employer sponsored visa, skilled visa. Right. So if you have a rejection on the visitor visa, there is no limitation, and you can prepare your case again and relodge the application. There will be only limitation if department refuse your visa based on bogus or false documents. So it can be it will be 3-year ban. Apart from that, if you have visa rejection, it depends what's been said initially on the application, what was the reason for refusal, whether department check your documents, and maybe department made a call to your employer to confirm whether you actually been employed there and you were not. So it needs to be assessed before decision can be made whether you can prepare the application again and relodge it. So, but it is potentially possible. So visitor visa, as I said, can be granted for a variety of purposes. So the purpose can be to visit Australia as a tourist, simple as that, just to have a look. Then to have a look at potential study options for yourself or for your children. Then to attend the interviews. Again, no work is permitted. To have a look at partner or visit partner, family, and meet and greet with your friends. So as you can see, it's a lot of application for simple visitor visa that can be used successfully as a very, very first step of your migration journey. So use it wisely. And as I said, this visa can be granted fairly quickly. Then you can use it for your next steps and next consideration as a part of your migration strategy. So let me have a look at the chat, and I will be able to answer questions. So just a reminder, once I answer all these questions, we will run our giveaway. And if you're going to be a winner, we're going to publish the winner in the chat, and then the winner will be able to contact us to have an access to our online course, how to prepare 600 visitor visa tourist stream successfully by yourself. So let's have a look at the questions. My visitor visa was refused a year ago because I didn't have enough funds in my bank account. So now I saved $2,000 for 1 week trip. Can I submit a new application? Certainly you can. So the department will be looking at your funds. So it's good that you saved. Then they will be looking at source of funds. So if it was work and you worked officially, you will have to provide evidence of that. So usually we recommend to provide not only bank statement balance, but also at least 3 months of savings history. If you work officially, then you will have to prove evidence of your official income in terms of taxation, superannuation, reference from your employer, those types of evidence. However, then you will have to explain the reasons. So depends whether you have a good travel history or not. What is your motive to pretty much come to Australia for this 1 week trip? So what's the reason? I'm not very good in English. Can I write my application and then translate it via Google Translate? Is it good? So for this reason, in our ImmiSchool resources, we have option to get this package of instructions, templates, and step-by-step guide in Russian and in English. So you can consider that, or you can obviously switch to Google Translate and go through page by page to make sure that you understand the question, because every question has a meaning. So don't take all these questions lightly. Every single question you answer gives you declaration. So that's your declaration. You're answering these questions and you should answer them correctly. Good afternoon from Bangladesh. Good afternoon to you too. So next question, what documents would you recommend to submit for someone who is self-employed in the country of passport to prove the reason to return? So for self-employment, the recommendation is to consider pretty much registration of your self-employment, if possible, then 6 months of bank statement to basically highlight where is your income, 6 months of taxation records or any taxation reports you lodged to confirm that you're working legally and officially. Then depending on nature of your work, self-employed, so if you work for, say, one client is just an arrangement to work as self-employed, you can still request them to write you a similar to reference letter confirming your role, your engagement, and you will be granted a leave for your holiday in Australia. As an example, if you're running completely your self-employment for yourself, a variety of clients, it depends again on the nature of your self-employment activity. For example, if you have any clients that's going to be waiting for you and you have pre-booked appointments or pre-booked lessons or something similar, it would be good to show those bookings together with other evidence of your self-employment as a proof that you're going to be returning back. If your self-employment is associated with running some social, or you have a website, again, it's worth providing this information to department to confirm that you actually run legitimate activities. So if you have any more questions, please put it in the chat. If not, we will be running our giveaway pretty much in a moment. Right, one more question. Applied for my parent visa 600 tourist stream who has a criminal record a year ago and no visa grant rejection has been received. How long it takes to receive any response? So question is whether you declare the criminal record. So we had success when we declared criminal records, provide police clearances, court documents, and explanation letters, and then the visa was granted. Currently, we are looking at months and a half, maximum 2 months for visa consideration as a normal scenario now. So if, for example, you lodge your application within those timelines, you may get a response. However, because if you declare this criminal record on the application and obviously provide these documents, the visa will be accessed longer. Simple for that because it's not straightforward case, and department will have to possibly provide this assessment to different streams. So because the department may have a hierarchy, simple cases this level, more complicated cases this level. So when it goes to level up, then it will take more time, but I would say it shouldn't be taking more than 2 months time. So just keep an eye on it. If it's going to be no response, you can potentially contact department for any updates. Right. My name is Ariful from Bangladesh. I have a question regards about OMAR and how to register to legal migration agent and details. So OMARA is regulating all migration agents registered in Australia. OMARA does not regulate or register any offshore agents. In order to become a migration agent, so the applicant needs to be at least permanent resident in Australia and complete the course, specific course, get the English test results, get an exams, and then finally get the registration if everything is clean with criminal history and there is no problems. So that's how it works in Australia. Right. Waiting for more questions if people would like some more clarifications. Otherwise, we will be running our giveaway in a moment. And then as part of our giveaway, we will be giving an access to online course how to prepare visitor visa tourist stream by yourselves. So let's have a look who is going to be potential winner of today. I'm going to post in the chat. Here you go. Nina from nowhere. You are the winner of our giveaway today. So, yay, congratulations. So, what's going to be happening? We will expect you to send us an email to this email address, which you can see in the chat. Then we're going to give you an access to our course, and you can have a choice of rather having it in English or in Russian language if needed. Right. Thank you very much, everybody who was listening and participating in the live. I appreciate your questions and your time to participate and ask me about visitor visas. So thank you very much for everybody, and have a good day or morning or night, wherever you are.